Hello and welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of sports. And we've made it to the end of the line with Boom Buster Believable, where we've worked our way through the entirety of the Big Ten, breaking down their men's basketball teams and their outlook for the rest of the season. Last but not least, coming in at preseason number 14 in the Big Ten, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So Nebraska currently sits at 15-14 and 8-10 in the conference, which is good for tied for 10th with Penn State and Wisconsin. They've had some bright spots this season. They've had some down times. They've really had their ups and downs, but they're a pretty fun team to watch if you really sit down to look at some of their guys. But looking at some of those key players, we start off with Derek Walker, who averages 13.9 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game, and shooting a whopping 50% from three, a good 1 for 2 from the season. So a pretty small sample size, but a wonderful percentage. Taking us then into Keisei Tominaga, who is averaging 12.6 points per game and shooting 86.7% from the free throw line, as well as 40.1% from three. He can absolutely stroke it from three on any given day. And he's come off the bench and he's started at different points of the years, especially based on injuries, but he is definitely an electric factory for the Cornhuskers, and he's a super fun player to watch. Another guy that they've got is Sam Griesel, who's really an all-around guard for them, posting 11.7 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.9 assists per game, as well as getting 1.3 steals per game. And rounding out their top four, you've got Jawan Gary at 9.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and getting 1.4 steals per game as well. For the Cornhuskers, their offense is a little bit spotty, and their defense is what has been better for them for the large course of the year, which brings us into the KenPom rankings. Their adjusted offensive efficiency sits at 170th, so not particularly great. They have their ups and downs, but consistently it hasn't really been there all around, while their adjusted defensive efficiency is at 57th. So they do have a pretty good defense. It's just whether or not their offense can back it up, and whether or not they can win some of these close games. Those two stats combine for an adjusted efficiency margin of 93rd. Their adjusted tempo sits at 200th, and their strength of schedule is 12th. So they have played a very, very difficult schedule, both non-conference and conference play, and you can obviously evidence of that in their record. Bringing in some of those key wins and losses, earlier on in the year, they had a loss at St. John's 70-50 back on November 17th. St. John's has not been a particularly great team this year, so that does not look particularly good for them. But they did have a win at number 7 Creighton at the time, 63-53 on December 4th, which was a big shocker for a lot of people. Now, Creighton has had their ups and downs, including a lot of injury woes through the season, so I believe that did have a little bit of part in that one, but still a very impressive game nonetheless. More recently, they had a loss at home against Northwestern, 78-63 on January 25th. Of course, Northwestern has played pretty good basketball in the second half of the season, especially in that stretch there in the month of January, but still not great to have a 15-point home loss. And then more recently, they had a win at Rutgers, 82-72 on Valentine's Day back on February 14th. Obviously, it's pretty difficult to win in the RAC on any given day. So the fact that they were able to put up 82 points in that game shows that they were able to really get some stuff going there on the road. But this Nebraska team was picked to finish last in the Big Ten, but they have been competitive at different points in the season, including this most recent 4-game win streak that they're on. But it's a little too late for their season. They have some definite bright spots with guys like Keisei Tominaga making their team fun to watch when they're playing well, but they just struggle too much offensively to compete game in and game out with better teams in the Big Ten. Outside of Keisei, they don't shoot the ball very well from three, only shooting 31.7% as a team, as well as shooting only 63.7% from the free throw stripe as a team. That's not good. And in close games, that's crucial, because when you get in close games down the stretch, if you're trying to maintain a lead, you're going to get fouled, you're going to get sent to the line. You got to have guys that are going to go up there and close out the game for you. And then, of course, on the flip side, if you're trying to make a comeback, you want to get fouls. You want to try to get to the line, get any way that you can get points to get back in the game. So that's just, it's not a good recipe for trying to win at a high level. But recently, they have been doing just well enough to squeak out wins, and they'll look to enter the Big Ten tournament with some momentum after their last 2 games of the regular season, at home against Michigan State on Tuesday and then at Iowa on Sunday. But that's all we've got. This wraps up all 14 Big Ten teams. It's been pretty crazy, and I'm really happy we were able to get through all of the Big Ten teams. So thank you for joining me on this ride. Here on the channel, we've got all of our NFL content from this past season, as well as everything we've done with college basketball. And there will be some MLB content coming around the corner as well. But take a deep breath, strap in. It's time for the most exciting time of the year. The countdown to March is almost over, and that means we'll be covering March Madness running the table style. But if you want more from us, check out our other videos, like and subscribe. And until next time, peace. It's March, baby.